Well, I'm Raquel. I'm the architect of a foundation of the City Hall of Valencia. We are one of these big cities of the project. And well, we are also a good example of the transferring information because we have the advantage of getting information of all the results of impulse in Elche in the first phase. I'm going directly, okay, to the results of our planning. About the classification, this is the criteria we have used. We chose 4 criteria: building type, construction year, number of floors, and the gross floor area. As it is mentioned, we also choose the years depending on the constructions laws in Spain. We had a difference in the year 2006 that we implemented a new law of construction. Well, this is Valencia has almost 400 buildings in the stock public building, okay? And this is the table where we counted all the buildings are grouped with this criteria. As you can see, the biggest amount of buildings are on educational type. This is the blue cells are the ones that we have chosen as the ambassador buildings. Well, here you can see which is PVT 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay, and so on. We finally choose 10, but as I said, we had the advantage of counting with Elche's buildings. So from Valencia, we chose 4 buildings. You can see there are the first 4s, and the other ones are from Elche. What we do is just to change the climate data, so we can extrapolate all that information to Valencia ambassadors buildings. These are some photographs of the buildings. Here you have we have 4 types of educational, 1 of office, 2 of a sports swimming pool. We make a difference between sports halls and sports halls with swimming pool because we think that there's a big difference if you have or not a swimming pool. 1 museum and 2 community and public assemblies. About the renovation measures, we can see in the different scenarios and minor, medium, major, deep, all the measures we have taken. As you can see in the minor scenario, we almost the measure we implanted is the replacement of all the fluorescent for LED alternatives. In the next step, that would be in the medium, we add to these first measures mostly change the heating and the cooling system. In the major, we implemented, as most of you have said, a thermal insulate on the facade. And finally, in the deep renovation, we include renewable energies. This is a table with the affordability or the ranking of the buildings that we should or we must start if we have to take account the affordability for each ambassador buildings and in each of these scenarios. With the results, we have this summary. In the different scenarios, we can see how it increases the annual primary energy saving, the annual avoided CO2 emissions, the annual saving of total energy related to operational costs, and how the investment and the period payback changes. We have a very big stock of building, and a part of that, they are very big ones. That's why the total investment increases unproportionally. You can see in major and in deep, we have almost 25 million and 85 million euros, and it has a very high period of a high payback period. These are some graphics of the same results. What I want to mention on these tables is that we see that total annual primary energy savings and annual savings of energy related to operational cost are proportional. They are the blue and the green. You can see on the tables. But the total annual avoided CO2 emissions, it increases very, very important. And I think that's the what we have to think about. And about the when we have to start with the renovation planning, we thought we had to be aligned with the SECAP of the city of Valencia. The objectives are to reduce at least 40% of the CO2 emissions by 2030, energy savings at least of 27, and minimum consumption of 27% of energy from renewable sources by 2030. And it also says that we should share the vision, results, experience, and technical knowledge with local and regional administrations inside and outside the UE, and that's why I think Impulse Plus is fomenting. We also had in mind the recast EPBD that we have present, that we will ensure that the 3% of the total surface area of building owned by in this case, the administration, is renovated each year. And besides that, when applying energy efficiency measures, priority be given to buildings with the worst energy performance when it is cost effective and technical feasible. And that's what also these tools allows. This is the input data that I have worked with to this presentation. And as you can see, I use the targets that was mentioned on the SECAP the 40% of CO2 reduction, 20% of reduction of energy, and 20% also on renewable energy. I added this 27% also on the other ponderable categories, and the 3% of the annual of the floor renovated. The results are that if we keep the 3% of the surface renovation, we don't get to the objectives of the SECAP until 2034. So I use this example to emphasize that it's important to perform as much as possible all the renovation of our public stock building, because with the 3% that we start, we don't arrive to the objectives of the SECAP. And about the financial scheme, well, this is just the hypothesis I chose for this presentation. And well, this is only the results that you have all explained very well. I think this is only the example that it's always better to perform and make all the renovation of our public stock building is better than doing anything. And that's why I think this graphics shows. And well, that's our experience. From my foundation, we don't have techniques that we will use these tools. I'm transferring all this information to the techniques of the City Hall of Valencia, and they are gonna use these tools depending on the objectives they have each year. That's that transferring of information. I think it's the important one from that tool, and that's what I'm trying to do with the techniques in Valencia. And well, that's all here. We have in next week the national event, if anyone can come to Valencia. And we are also preparing some interviews and videos explaining the methodology. So the City Hall of Valencia can be an example to all the citizens to start also renovating all the buildings, as the administration public is doing, to get to the objectives of 2050 of carbon neutrality. And that's all my presentation. Thank you.